What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. First off, I'd like to say thank you for anybody who watched my Blackwing deck profile yesterday, especially if you commented below. In that video, I said that I believe that right now, this very second, that Blackwings are a better deck moving into the next format than windups were. And I said that I would explain my reasoning if you guys wanted to hear it. Overwhelmingly, you guys left comments saying that you did, and this is the video portraying that. So I took Blackwings and windups. I broke both decks down completely on an even playing field, and I judged them by the same exact criteria. In fact, I think that the parameters that I use are both fair, and I think that they're a really effective indicator on, you know, a deck's potential in the upcoming format. Now, obviously, I had to do a little speculating and guesstimating as to what that format's exactly going to shape up to be. But, you know, there are things that we already know about the upcoming format, like decks that we expect to be good, you know, ways that have been proven to be effective to win in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, things like that. Some of the categories that I judge these decks by are things that I like about the deck, things that I don't like about the deck, the offense, the defense, and the intangibles of the deck. So let's start with windups, things that I like about the deck. I like windup Rabbit, Rat, and Soldier. Soldier is a card that's always been treated like the redheaded stepchild of the deck. I feel like the card's always been solid, but, you know, windups have always been so fast, so explosive, always had such overpowering loops and plays that it's like this card has never really helped you get to your win condition, so it's like, why run it? You know, it's a very slow, stunish card, but, you know, when you just size it up against other cards that are similar, it's a very good beater. It can change its levels. It can take down anything that's, you know, 20, 100 and under. It's an absolute great card to attack directly. I feel like it's solid. You know, windup Rat, obviously, because it's like Slim said, it's kind of like a mini tour guide. It's a one-card seed. I mean, that's really all I have to say. Like, as a competitive player, you want those in your deck. And then windup Rabbit. I feel like windup Rabbit is going to have one of his best formats ever. Solemn Warning is at 1, so that means your Rabbit is going to get warning a lot less. Factory is still at 3, so you have the good tutor ability there. And with all the back row that people are going to be trying to replace warning with, Evac, Book of Moon, you know, he just dodges all those cards. Torrential, Bottomless, he doesn't care. I feel like windup Rabbit's going to have a really good format. I like the deck's ability to tutor. You know, despite the fact that it lost its best tutor card in Zenmaity, I feel like, you know, Factory is still at 3. You now have Tenki, which can get you your windup Rabbit, and I feel like the deck has a really consistent way to get to the monsters that it wants, and I mean, do it in a pretty quick fashion. Things that I don't like about windups. I feel like Tour Guide doesn't serve a purpose anymore in the deck, and if you're running Tour Guide and windups, why? Like, the reason that Tour Guide was so vital in previous formats was because Tour Guide was a one-card Zenmaity, and Zenmaity tutored basically the entire fucking deck. You know, whether it was facilitating the windup Hunter loops or facilitating the Shock Lock play, I mean, like, Zenmaity was that one Swiss Army knife that got you out of any position that your opponent put you in. It got you whatever tool or resource that you needed at the time. And, you know, one of the things about Tour Guide that made it such a good card was Tour Guide worked directly in conjunction with other wind-up monsters. If you had a Tour Guide and a wind-up Shark, those cards, they're not themed related, but they work together. I mean, Tour Guide instantly made Zenmaity. You could bring out Magician, then Shark, and just go nuts on your opponent. Speaking of Shark, I don't like the fact that he seems really mediocre this format. I've always felt like he's been tied at the hip to wind up Magician, and Magician Shark plays just aren't that good. That's why you see everybody starting those plays with Summer Monk, because if you just go Magician Shark, I mean, the play is extremely limited. You know, Shark doesn't have great stats. It's not a card that's able to do a lot of solo work, so I just feel like it's reached the ceiling, and its ceiling was last format. Now, speaking of Summer Monk, I don't like the fact that it's in this deck. It has absolutely no synergy with the deck outside of the Magician Shark plays. You know, it doesn't directly work in conjunction with other wind-up cards like Tour Guide did. You know, I feel like if it gets Veilered, you're basically going to lose. I don't like the fact that the cards and the plays are so specific. I don't like the fact that, you know, this card doesn't really do much to facilitate your win condition, which at this point, I'm still kind of not sure what wind-up player's win condition is. I mean, if you're going to say we run this card because it's an instant rank 4 exceed, well then shit, why don't you run Summoner Monk and Heroes and Blackwings? I don't like wind-up Rabbit's inability to be effective when your opponent has a bigger monster in front of it. You know, I feel like that's always been a problem for the deck, but I feel like it's going to be exacerbated this format. You know, Windups previously, I mean, at any given point, they could just explode. And this was always a problem, but it was minute because, you know, you could just sit there, stall for a couple of turns, and just explode. Windups have lost that ability. So I feel like if your opponent gets a Thunder King or a Shore or something, and all you have is a Windup Rabbit, I mean, you're gonna be in deep shit, basically. Offensively, I feel like the deck is limited at best. I think that the monster lineup A to Z is relatively average. You know, your explosion card and magician is limited. You know, shark is pretty mediocre this format. Your toolbox card, Zenmaity, is gone. Tour guide doesn't have effectiveness in the deck. You look at the monsters' attack levels, they're not really that good. The deck has absolutely no monster removal, which has always been a problem. But again, it's been one of those problems that's kind of been swept under the rug because the deck had so many other good plays that basically covered up that flaw. You know, now your monster removal is kind of like tied to Tiras and Adreas, which is going to be really difficult to make. The new Summer Monk plays aren't that impressive to me. I feel like, first off, they're 3-card combos. They all have to be 3 specific cards. You have to have 2 specific monsters and a spell. If you have 2 specific monsters and a trap, you're not doing shit. It's completely crippled by Valor, and to add insult to injury, not only is your monk almost certainly going to die to an attack from, well, anything, but you're going to have a wind-up shark in your hand that's not going to do anything. It's not going to have synergy with anything else that you currently have. You know, the card combos is not possible if you draw your magician. Keep that in mind. So I feel like it's not that impressive at all. Defensively, this deck is below average. I almost want to go as far as mediocre. I mean, you have no specific spell or traps that give you advantages over any other decks. You have absolutely no lockdown cards. You could say, oh, well, we got Shockmaster. No, you really don't, because you can't consistently put it on the board. Last format, you could consistently put Shockmaster on the board. Intangibles, you don't have any auto-win cards. You don't have any gateway or card destruction. I mean, you can't effectively run cards like, you know, Goes in Match or Skill Drain in the main, where it's like you play against X deck and you just auto win if you draw that card. I feel like the only intangible where Windups is better than Blackwings is that you're inherently a faster deck and you can inherently tutor your deck better. But outside of that, I really don't feel like you have any major advantages. You have a flat out awful grind game because all of your monsters are relatively weak. You have a bunch of cards in your deck that you would never want to top deck, like Summoner Monk and Wind-Up Magician and stuff like that. I feel like overall, Windups just aren't that impressive right now. Now let's discuss Blackwings. I like the fact that Blackwings have a solid monster lineup. You start with the 3 decent beaters that they have, Ambora, Sirocco, and Shura. You know, not only are they all pretty decent level attack monsters, but they all have built-in effects and they all can be useful. I like the fact that you have a sack card in Dark Arm Dragon, also adding to that monster lineup. I mean, it's one of those monsters where if it hits the board, chances are you're going to win. You can go +3 with it, you can OTK with it, and you have a couple of good situational monsters. Cards like Gale and ZEPHYROS. ZEPHYROS being a card that can be a +1 from the graveyard, opens up Exceed plays, and then Gale can take, he can take down 25 and lower monsters by himself. You know, I like the fact that this deck should have complete battle phase control. I mean, 3 Kalutes make your deck really, really hard to take down in battle. I mean, you add a card like Forbidden Lance, and you could have it basically where your opponent can't attack your monsters because, you know, they fear Kalute, they fear Forbidden Lance. I mean, this deck is a deck that's going to be almost like Lightsworn was before it got completely ramrodded by the ban list, where it just had complete battle phase control. I like the fact that this deck can operate on multiple tempos. You know, when you have things like Bora, ZEPHYROS, and Sirocco, where you can create kind of a lot of offense out of nowhere. I mean, you guys remember those old Sirocco plays where you'd be like, you know, summon a Sirocco and then summon a bunch of Boras and pump a monster up. Or like, I feel like Blackwings can kind of create offense out of nowhere and they can get really aggro, but I feel like inherently their best ability is to play a slow stun game. So I feel like they do have multi-tempo ability. Offensively, I feel like the deck is solid. I don't think that it's better than that. You know, and I say that because you have 3 decent sized beaters, so you can go pound for pound with decks like Heroes, Fire Fist, Dino Rabbit. I feel like, you know, Sirocco, Kalute, Dark Arm give the deck game stealing ability. You know, just dropping a Dark Arm is a way to just steal a game away. You can attack, drop double Kalute. You know, I've already talked about Sirocco's ability to pump monsters up. You know, so I feel like you have game stealing ability. And then just when you have things like Gale and Kalute maxed out, I mean, getting over monsters that are 2,400 to even 3,000 is not going to be that difficult. So while Blackwings don't have any inherent monster removal, their ability to get over big beaters and do it relatively easy makes their offense solid. I think that defensively they're excellent. You know, they have multiple like play breaking cards, and they're themed too. Cards like Collude and Icarus Attack. I mean, your opponent summons that rabbit. Your opponent is going for that big play. Okay, chain Icarus Attack, blow their shit up so they can't do it. You know, your opponent has a Xian on the field. They summon a Lagia and they attack. Okay, well, Collude. I mean, you lose your monster. Like, defensively, I feel like Blackwings are excellent. I mean, they have two really great theme cards that set them apart from any other deck in the format. And then intangibles. I feel like Blackwings is a fantastic grind deck. You know, it's just because of the beaters. I mean, when you know that you can be top decking 17, 18, 2000 attack beaters, you feel a lot more comfortable than monsters that are, you know, in the 13s, 14s of that level. I feel like you can effectively main deck an auto win card in skill drain. People might debate this, but I mean, let's be real. If you activate skill drain at an opportune time against windups, you win. You activate skill drain at an opportune time against insectors, you win. You know, overall, I feel like I judge these decks by the same criteria, and I just feel right now that Blackwings are a more defined deck. They know exactly what they are. They know what they want to do. I feel like windups, they're still in this kind of gimmick stage of what are we? Are we a deck where we're going to splash Fire Fist in? Are we all about this 3-card OTK that's inconsistent as fuck? You know, should we run Tour Guide? Should we not? I mean, there are way too many unanswered questions. I look at Blackwings and I think you have a better monster lineup. You play better defense. Offensively, I think the deck is better. Even if you gave them a tie, I would still feel like Blackwings are better because I feel like there's a lot more stability there. So let me know what you guys think. So thank you guys for watching as always. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Click the like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you later.